Don't ask them, what do we know? What I forgot is better than whatever they remember.
Welcome. We have a very special guest here. It's Delta from Delta Code, a very successful, mainly crypto investor. So thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for sharing your insights and also your highest conviction plays at the moment. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Delta. I'm an economist with over 20 years of investment experience. And my primary profession for the last 5 years has been investing. And that's how I make my living.
Yeah, so you basically live out of your investments, right?
Yes.
Which is really nice. I hope one day I'll get there, but I'll keep on grinding. We'll see how it goes. And I know your portfolio. I know you're mostly into crypto. I have some crypto myself. I have mostly Bitcoin, Ethereum, but I have most of my wealth, let's say my portfolio, into stocks. And for you, it's the other way around, right?
Well, it is now, but originally it started the same way. I was 100% invested in stocks, and then I invested 20% of my portfolio into crypto.
Yeah.
And that 20% became 90% because it just grew so much faster than my crypto. And now my allocation is 75% crypto, 25% stocks.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk about your highest conviction play on crypto and your highest conviction play on a stock, right? Right. Let's jump into it. Let's take a look at, let's just open up coin market cap right now. So we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. here, which most people, of course, know. Most people look at it. Some people look at it daily.
Hourly.
Hourly, every minute. It depends, I guess. And I know for most people, Bitcoin is a very large position. I have Bitcoin myself. I think most people think about Bitcoin when they talk about crypto, right? But that's not necessarily your highest conviction, right?
It is my second highest crypto, but there is number one in my heart.
Yeah, which is?
Drumroll, it is Ethereum.
Yeah.
It is the number 2 crypto by market cap. It is the biggest smart contract platform. If you ever heard of NFTs, DeFi, decentralized finance, lending, anything that involves smart contracts, it is being done mostly on Ethereum. Bitcoin is for transferring value from one wallet to the next. They're trying to do some stuff with NFTs, but pretty much everything interesting that's done in crypto is done on Ethereum.
Yeah. So you have a way bigger conviction into Ethereum than Bitcoin, right?
Yes, as far as having it grow in this bull cycle, I think both will do fine. I think many cryptos will do fine, but I think Ethereum, just being smaller, will have more room to grow. Because, if you put in $1 billion into a $400 billion coin versus a $1 trillion coin, it will just have a bigger impact.
Yeah. If we look at coin market cap, Ethereum now has a market cap of 420 billion, and Bitcoin is at 1.3 trillion right now. So it's way bigger. Yeah.
So it's 30% of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But Ethereum has a lot more utility, a lot more uses for it other than just sending value around.
Yeah. So you're also really bullish on Bitcoin, but just more bullish on Ethereum.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I personally experienced hyperinflation. And this is why I am so deep into crypto, because all these countries are devaluing their currencies. So having personally dealt with that, and maybe some of you have, if you live in an African country, in the Middle East or South America, then you probably have firsthand experience with hyperinflation. And crypto usually is easy to explain to those people that have felt it. We who live in the Western world have a harder time understanding inflation and how to protect against it. So because of that, Bitcoin will be a great store of value in the future because every country is printing money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. We've all, of course, seen a lot of inflation in the last few years. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And we talked about it a lot already, of course. And you don't necessarily believe Ethereum will surpass Bitcoin in market cap, but you do think it will outperform, right?
Yes. I think it's possible to surpass Bitcoin, but it doesn't need to be successful or to be a great spot in anybody's portfolio. If they both double, or if they both grow by, let's say, 400 million, right? Or $400 billion, that would mean that Ethereum doubled, but that means that Bitcoin went up by 30%.
Yeah,
They both did just fine in absolute terms, but just because Ethereum is smaller, it will do better as a percentage.
Yeah. That makes sense because the market cap is smaller. All right, so you're very bullish when it comes to Ethereum, but you have an even, let's say, more bullish take, right? A special way of investing into Ethereum.
Yes, and that is ETHE, which is Grayscale Ethereum Trust. And for your viewers who are not familiar with this, something happened similar to what is about to happen with Ethereum with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think most viewers are not familiar with ETHE. Yeah,
Okay, but are they familiar with the spot ETF that got approved for Bitcoin?
probably. Yeah.
Okay.
But maybe you can talk a little bit about it.
Sure. So for over 10 years, there's been applications for a Bitcoin spot ETF. And spot just means that the ETF shares you can redeem for the spot value, 1-to-1. Up until this January, you couldn't do that. So what this created is a mispricing in the market or a discount, where if you invested in a Grayscale Bitcoin trust, you could not actually get the Bitcoin value out by selling your shares if more people wanted to sell at the same time, which created at times a very big discount. The discount got erased once the Bitcoin ETF got approved. It went from 50% at some point to 0. Right now, there is no Ethereum spot ETF. Therefore, it's an inefficient product from Grayscale Trust that has a discount, which is now our opportunity.
Yeah, so once the ETF gets approved, it will go way up in value, right? Because of the discount.
The discount will disappear.
Yeah.
It will go down to 0.
Yeah.
Because you can redeem it 1-for-1.
Yeah, like what happened with Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, if you want to go to the...
Yeah, like this here.
Yeah, if you look like July of last year, the discount was up like 40-something%. And then there was rumors that there will be a Bitcoin ETF approved. This is where BlackRock, Fidelity, and all these other companies applied. And like they really entered the race. And then the investors started believing that it will get approved and they will be able to redeem their shares for Bitcoin. And the discount got erased down to 0. Now the little difference is because Grayscale charges a fee, and that's the discount.
Yeah, but it's pretty much
Zero.
zero now, ever since the ETF is approved, right?
Yes, ever since January of this year.
Yeah. And if we go to ETHE, we see there's a big discount still.
Yes. So the discount was also as high in July. It was about 55%. And then with the same narrative that Bitcoin had of the spot ETF being approved, hand in hand, people believe that the next one will be Ethereum. So the discount started disappearing.
Yeah.
And it fell down to as much, I think, as 7% a few months ago. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, around here.
About
7-8%. Yeah.
And in my opinion, this is one of the best trades in crypto because right now the discount is 22%, which is about $770 from the current price of Ethereum. So It's like buying Ethereum for $2,700 when it's actually $3,500 now.
Yeah, so you can basically buy Ethereum with a discount.
Yeah.
And if the ETHE ETF gets approved, the same thing will happen like what happened with Bitcoin.
Yes.
It will go to 0. So you get Ethereum now for like 22% off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 22% down is different than 22% up because if you get this difference, $770 off of $2,700 is actually 28%. That's same as if your stock goes down 50%.
Yeah, it has to recover 100%, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how percentages work. So you get a really nice discount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's close to actually a 30% gain on your ETH if it gets approved.
If it gets approved. So
correct.
Yeah. And how high do you think the chances are it will get approved?
Well, the market is saying the chances are 78%.
Yeah.
Based on this, if you do the math. I think the chances are higher. Now, the first deadline coming up is in May, and this is maybe a 30% chance, but 30% chance is not zero. So this discount can get erased as soon as May, because 30% is still a big probability that it might happen.
So in May, it might already get approved. And then you get this 22, or at least even more, 28% jump immediately.
Yeah,
right?
so by May or mid-May, we'll know if it gets approved or not, because that's the deadline for the SEC to make a decision.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Now, if it doesn't get approved in May, that doesn't mean it won't get approved. That means there will be a lawsuit. And similar to what happened with Bitcoin, in the US, the Grayscale had to sue the SEC, and then the court forced them to approve it because they already approved a futures product of Bitcoin and of Ethereum. And by doing that, they sort of locked themselves into really approving a spot ETF as well.
Yeah. That's very interesting. So in the long run, if I think about it, it makes sense that they approve the Ethereum ETF like they approved the Bitcoin ETF, right? If I just think about it myself, I'm not an expert, but it makes sense.
Yes, I mean, the two are very similar products. Only difference is Bitcoin does something called mining to validate blocks and create new Bitcoin, where Ethereum does something called staking to validate and create new Ethereum. That's the only difference. And if, let's say, SEC views Ethereum as a security, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, said even if it's viewed as a security, that shouldn't prevent it from becoming a spot ETF.
Yeah.
Because we have securities that are ETFs.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good. So ETHE, the Grayscale Ethereum Trust, is one of your two highest conviction stocks or investments.
Ethereum is one of my biggest investments. If I was to buy Ethereum today, if I didn't already have it, I would probably buy it in this form because of this big discount.
Yeah. Also makes sense. Yeah, so you're really bullish on Ethereum, and ETHE is a way to get a discount on it, right? All right, nice. Let's go on to the second one. Your second high conviction play, which is a stock.
A very diversified away from crypto.
Very diversified. Yeah, because you are so diversified. It's very interesting because most people that diversify, especially people that invest into crypto and then they diversify into stocks, they pick maybe an S&P 500 ETF or maybe Microsoft or Google or whatever. But no, you picked something completely different, right?
Yes.
What did you pick?
I picked Coinbase.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not familiar with, is the biggest and one of the oldest crypto exchanges.
Nice diversification out of crypto into stocks, right?
Yes. Out of the pan and into the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Coinbase. It's a crypto exchange, right?
It's a crypto
I know
exchange.
It is
It was started in 2012. Bitcoin was started in 2009. So it was shortly one of the first exchanges to offer people a way to buy Bitcoins. And I did not intend to invest so much into a crypto stock, but as far as investing in conviction goes, which is the theme of today's topic, I didn't have as much conviction in anything else. I had a really diverse portfolio of like 100 different tech companies, but when they all went down like 30%, then I was like, well, which one do I believe in will go back up? And I just kept concentrating in the one that I understood most because of the expertise I have in crypto.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I like it, to be honest, because personally, I don't think I would, dare to invest so much into crypto because of risks or whatever. Also because I don't have the same conviction as you do. But if you really believe into something, I think it makes sense to really invest a lot into it.
I believe Mark Twain said it. It's best to put all your eggs in one basket and watch that basket very carefully.
Yeah, that's what you're doing, right?
Yes.
Right now, yeah.
I'm keeping my eye on my basket.
Yeah, watching crypto every day. Coin market cap every day.
Well, yes, it doesn't hurt. But also I had to familiarize myself with like regulation and understanding US laws and how cases work. And it's unnecessary, really, if US wants to be a leader in this field. But I think US has a good system and the courts are on our side, and Coinbase and crypto will win eventually.
Yeah. All right, so Coinbase, I know you also have a really high conviction when it comes to the next earnings that are upcoming in, what is it, 3-4 weeks or
Yes,
something?
first week of May.
Yeah, so you really think analysts are like way off, and even though the stock is up a lot, like we can see, you feel like it has to go up way more because analysts are so off, right?
They are constantly off. I don't know how they're doing their math, but being so involved in crypto, I can very accurately predict I can forecast their revenue,
Yeah.
especially their transaction revenue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you've done that successfully in the past, right?
Yes, if you just look at, I've been modeling Coinbase since they went public because I was involved in the space and I wanted to diversify into stocks away from crypto. If you look at just the last report, Q4, analysts expected 600 million revenue. I said 920. They delivered 950. Analysts were off by 50%, and I was off by 4.
Yeah, 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 really nice. Yeah, and they even surprised to the upside, so even more than you expected.
Yes,
while your expectations were really high. Yeah.
Well, I try to be conservative because if you have a lot of conviction in something and a lot of your money, you want to be overly optimistic, and that's an emotion. And I try to take emotion out of it and be purely analytical and look at the numbers. And even in today's analysis, I am being somewhat conservative in what they will likely deliver.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's very interesting because if I see your numbers, I'm like, oh yeah, they are way higher than the numbers from analysts, and you're like, oh, I'm still conservative.
Yeah, I am. It's the expression is sandbagging.
Yeah. I made a video recently about sandbagging. Yeah, it's interesting. All right, so we have something here. We have some analyst expectations. We can see that analysts estimate for Coinbase 54% year-over-year revenue growth for 2024. 54% sounds like quite a lot.
Yeah, from last year.
But you think they're like way off, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Last year, crypto was like, Bitcoin was like, I don't know, $20,000 to $30,000. Ethereum was between $1,000 and $2,000. Now, all those numbers have doubled, right? That's 100%.
Yeah.
So Coinbase's revenue is largely based on crypto prices. And then if you just look at the last quarter revenue beat and my forecast for this quarter, it's much bigger than this is. I think if you scroll down, they're expecting 4.7 billion total for 2024. I think they'll probably make this much in Q1 and Q2 alone.
Yes, so they might double in the entire year.
Yeah,
or even go
likely.
over.
And then if they do that in 24, I think they'll do even better in 25, where they're expecting kind of the same as what they have here, 4.8 billion in 2025. We'll likely see, let's say Ethereum maybe 10,000 and Bitcoin, let's say over 100,000. Then all these numbers have to be up higher. Yeah. Because a lot of the revenue is based on the crypto prices for Coinbase.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
it's a percentage of transactions.
Yeah. Yeah, if I look at these numbers, 54% year-over-year revenue growth, I'm like, okay, that's quite high. But what I do find like really strange is that they expect 0.5%
like no growth
in 2025. Yeah, that's weird.
So
like I don't have Coinbase stock myself. I'm not as bullish as you are, but still 0.5% growth in 2025 is like, it's nothing. It's weird.
Yeah.
While we are in a bull market, so it should go up, I guess.
Arguably the bull market hasn't even started yet.
Arguably, yeah.
Because Bitcoin halving is in about a week, and the crypto bull market in the last 15 years usually starts 6 months after the halving. Mm-hmm. So it by all metrics, it has started slightly because of the ETF being approved, and it kind of pulled the bull market forward. But after the halving, there's a huge supply shock that usually is a big catalyst for the market to go parabolic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it in a few weeks, their earnings. Let's talk a little bit more about them because you also made a model, right?
Yes.
Where you model out your own expectations. It's this one, Delta Code, which is also your YouTube channel, right? Delta Code. So I would highly recommend to go to your YouTube channel, subscribe, help Delta Code out.
Especially if you're investing in Coinbase or Ethereum, for example. I make a lot of videos that are specific to those because those are my biggest portfolio holdings. I do a lot of analysis and research, and then I just share it freely out there.
Yeah. I think you're doing a great job, and I think your channel will grow a lot.
Thanks.
You deserve it. We'll see. Yeah. All right. So let's look at your assumptions. Yeah. Go ahead. Can you talk about it?
Some of these are assumptions. Some of these are calculations. So if we look at the left side, that's green. These are all revenue sources. So if you think of it, you can think of it as products or just sources of revenue. The biggest one is transaction-based revenue, and that's broken down in two: consumers and institutions. Consumers pay a higher fee anytime you trade Bitcoin or even a meme coin on Coinbase. There is a fee that the person buying pays and the person selling pays to Coinbase. And daily volumes of transactions that Coinbase users are making on their platform is going parabolic. It is averaging over $5 billion of transactions per day.
Is that also how you calculate it, or how do you calculate
that is one of the ways I calculate transaction-based volume and how much revenue Coinbase will have, because they report daily volumes. And then I do my calculations to calculate for how much of that will be consumers, how much will be institutions. And that is the biggest part of the revenue. So that's the most important, and I spend most time on for calculations.
So you track how many, like how the volume is?
Actual volume numbers.
Yeah, and then you...
So this is data. This is not guessing.
No. Yeah, so you really track the volume that's being done on Coinbase.
Yeah.
And then you multiply that by the...
Take rate.
Yeah. All right. Makes sense. Yeah. So you really calculate this number.
Yeah.
And this number is really high already. It's like higher than what analysts are expecting pretty much.
Yeah.
Because their expectations are like total revenue is like 1 billion or something.
So I have it, the revenue as 1.6. Most analysts have it about 1.1.
Yeah.
So the transaction-based revenue alone is all the revenue that the rest of the analysts expect.
Yeah.
Not even looking at subscriptions.
So if your calculations are right, when it comes to transaction-based revenue, it's already higher than what analysts are expecting for total revenue, right?
Almost double.
Yeah.
If not more.
All right. Yeah. And you expect 1.5 to 2 billion.
Yeah, that's my revenue range. I'm somewhere in the middle with 1.6. Again, this is being conservative. Coinbase launched an international derivatives exchange that saw $54 billion in revenue last 30 days. So if we calculate similar take rate for their derivatives platform, then they can likely make between $1 to $200 million more in transactions that can roll up into this revenue item.
Yeah.
That I left out just to be conservative.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting that analysts expect 1 billion and you're like, oh, I expect 1.6 billion and I'm being conservative.
Don't ask them, what do we know? What I forgot is better than whatever they remember.
Okay, so 1.1 billion when it comes to transaction-based revenue. Yeah. What else?
So stable coins, if you are familiar, this is a dollar representation in a crypto form. USDC is now a partner of Coinbase, a company named Circle that made the USDC stablecoin. Partner with Coinbase, now they share revenue. And this is how Coinbase makes money in a very steady state when interest rates are high. They take the dollars from their customers, they turn them into digital dollars, USDC, and they take the US dollars and they buy US treasuries, earning them 5.1 or 5.2%, whatever US treasuries are. That's pure profit. USDT, the biggest stable coin, makes $5 billion a year because they have $100 billion. So they make 5%, and they have a team of like 7 people. It's like the most profitable company. So the second biggest stable coin is USDC, which Coinbase owns half of and gets their revenue. 175 again is a conservative, likely maybe be closer to 200.
Yeah. All right.
Blockchain rewards is the next biggest item. So Coinbase offers services, infrastructure services. And one of these services is staking rewards for blockchains. So Ethereum, for example, validates their blocks differently than Bitcoin. Bitcoin uses miners, they use hardware and electricity to create new blocks and validate the network. Ethereum uses validators that stake Ethereum as collateral to have the right to participate in the network. And if they act maliciously, then they lose their Ethereum. So it's a way to promise that you will be honest. Coinbase has a lot of their customers who stake Ethereum with them, and they take 25% of the blockchain rewards for providing the services. They do this for several blockchains like Solana and others. And that is going to come in to about 125 to maybe $150 million based on the current reward rate of staking blockchains.
Yep. All right.
The next one is an exciting one that I want to see the actual number. This is my estimate. This is about 3 times what it was last quarter. Last quarter was about 20 million. But last quarter, we didn't have a spot ETF, and we didn't have BlackRock and Fidelity and all these other institutions using Coinbase as their custodian for the ETF, record-setting ETF in the industry that has $1 billion of inflows a day.
Yep.
And Coinbase is a custodian. I'm not sure how much they charge them. We'll find out, but I'm being conservative and saying, they're going to make 3 times the money they made in a quarter where they didn't do this service.
Yeah. And you feel like this is your biggest, let's say, guessing work, right?
That one is my biggest guess number.
Yeah. And it's quite a small number, 60 million. So if it's off by 50% or something, it doesn't even matter that much.
I can't imagine it being lower than Q4 of last year.
Which was 20 million.
Yeah. And they did not even have all these billions and billions of dollars from institutions. Yep. So it has to be bigger than 20 million, but how much bigger? That's a guess, 60. I think that might be conservative, but we don't know. We'll find out in a few weeks.
Yeah, I think it's really nice how everything is calculated, especially transaction-based revenue. The custodial is a real guess for you, but if it's off, it doesn't really matter because it's not a huge number. So I think that's really nice. Yeah. All right.
And the last ones are quite small. Other subs, Coinbase offers subscription services to both customers, retail customers, and institutions. Something called Coinbase One. If you're a customer of Coinbase, a retail customer, it's $30 a month, and it provides you, tax services. It provides you trading without fees and other benefits that other subscriptions come from. And interest income is interest income.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
One interesting thing that I forgot to mention is Coinbase also owns crypto. They have lots of Ethereum and Bitcoin on their balance sheet that was previously not marked to market. It was marked at the lowest price it ever was since they bought it. But now they can account for it in their actual value that it is now.
Oh.
And since last quarter, those crypto on their balance sheet have gone up in value, which means they have more assets.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'll drag our faces a little bit more to the right. We have Base here. Can you talk a little bit about Base?
Sure. So Base is a layer 2 of Ethereum. So layer 2 is a rollup. This is an optimistic rollup. It's just how the mechanism works. We don't need to get into the details. But the way Ethereum...
Yeah, I know you can get really technical, so...
Yes.
No, sorry, keep going.
So the roadmap for Ethereum to scale, to compete with centralized services like Visa on transactions, is to have these chains that are built on top of it that take their transactions and they aggregate them all into one transaction and then validate that on Ethereum. So they use Ethereum as their security and they pay to put those transactions on Ethereum. Base right now is the fastest growing L2. It's amazing if you use it because it costs $0 to send USDC on the Base layer 2 chain. And if you are used to using traditional banks, this is insanely good. If I want to send you money from America, it will cost me like $30 in a wire transfer. I cannot do it on a weekend, and it will take like 3 days to get here. With Base, it will take half a second and will cost $0, which is amazing. And they're going to make lots of revenue of this. It's growing really quickly. Other layer 2s are worth about $10 billion right now, and they're not as good as this. So that's $10 billion of value that's not being accounted in their valuation at all.
Yeah, and it's a really nice use case because it really adds something that there isn't really on the market right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was at a conference recently in Denver, there was a girl selling Girl Scout cookies, and she was using Base to charge.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So real use cases, not just crypto hype or whatever. No. Real use cases. I like that.
The stuff that Bitcoin aspires to be, like to transact and be used for payments.
Yeah.
Is now possible on Ethereum thanks to Base.
Yeah, but I think that's really nice because if you think about it, there's this maybe hype sometimes when it comes to crypto. People talk about Bitcoin or the blockchain, but there's not really many use cases. And I think it's really nice if there are more use cases, like maybe Base. Yeah.
It's been said it is a technology in search of a problem.
Makes sense. Yeah, exactly. All right, so your expectations are, I would say, quite high. According to you, they are conservative and way higher than what analysts are expecting in a few weeks. So, yeah, it could be a really interesting play, of course, Coinbase for the next few weeks then.
Yes, I do want to caution anybody thinking about investing in Coinbase. I have made forecasts like this before where I predict or calculate the revenue is going to be really high for the quarter they're about to report. And I'm right. But what can happen from now until then is the future quarter might not be as good. So guidance can be very important and be a big catalyst for the price. So even if I am 100% correct on my numbers, let's say they're even better, but Coinbase says next quarter is going to be terrible, we're going to make much less money, then that can impact the price negatively.
Then the stock might still go down, of course. Yeah. Usually when companies report earnings, the guidance is really important. Might even be more important sometimes than earnings themselves.
For Coinbase, I have seen that historically. Guidance is extremely important.
Yeah. Is there some way to maybe guess guidance? Or because I feel like it's really difficult.
I have to wait until April is done, and I can wait until the day before, and then I'll have the data to calculate what has happened in April. But even then, I have only 1/3 of the data, and then I will know what they will guide. But think about this. When they guided Q1, they only had that one month of data. I have the 3 months of actual data. So they gave a conservative guidance, but we know they did better than that because we have the data they did not have when they gave the guidance.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. All right, so expectations from analysts are really low. They expect like 1 billion in revenue for the next quarter, for the previous quarter, which is going to be reported, and you expect like 1.5 to 2 billion dollars in revenue, which is way higher. So I'm going to watch Coinbase for sure. And like you said, this is of course no investment advice. Of course, it can go wrong. We don't know the future, but I think it's really interesting. It was nice talking to you about all this crypto stuff. Makes me more bullish when it comes to crypto. Every time I talk to you, I become more bullish because I don't have that much crypto. I have most of my money in stocks. You do too, but then it's Coinbase.
Yes. Every time I talk to you, I feel like buying more Tesla shares.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's how it works, right? And I don't have the conviction like you do to put so much into Tesla. Tesla is a big position for me, but it's not that extreme percentage-wise like for you.
Yeah, I do believe in concentrating to your highest convictions. I used to be much more diversified, but as I invest more and I put more decades under my belt, I've become convinced that investing in your highest convictions might be a better way. I think Warren Buffett calls it the hole punch theory. If you had a hole punch that you can just punch 10 tickets and you can only buy 10 stocks in your whole life, you would make those choices very carefully and then put a lot in them.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think Warren Buffett also says if you have like 30 or 40 stocks or something, you can never have the same conviction in stock number 30 or 40 like in stock number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So it makes sense maybe to put more into your highest conviction place. Maybe I should do that more as well.
Yeah. I mean, crypto is my industry expertise, and Coinbase is, I think, one of the only few companies that's publicly traded that does crypto.
Yeah. All right, now, very nice. So 2 really interesting investment cases, Coinbase and ETHE. I don't own them, but I might add them. I will look into it a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. I would like to thank you a lot. Check him out at Delta Code. And thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.